of the Year by media in 2021 and 2022. Anna is passionate about solving complex business problems and is a sought after speaker on innovation and technology. With a strong technical background, Anna brings expertise in data management, AI, cyber resiliency, business continuity, cloud technologies, and emerging trends. He champions knowledge sharing among partners to drive innovation and enhance customer outcomes, supported by multiple industry certifications. Ane is dedicated to bridging the gap between industry and academia, ensuring future leaders in India and equipped with relevant employment skills. His contributions have earned him accolades, including the Influencer of the Year Award, India's Most Trusted Titan 2024, and induction into the DPS Hall of Fame in 2023 for his exceptional work in Dell's data protection business until over the past 7 years. Sir, please start your session and motivate us by your valuable session. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to be sure, I'm audible.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for the opportunity. I see that during this FDP, you are going through a lot of details around artificial intelligence. I see people joining in as well. So if you can just let them in the lobby so that there are people in the lobby, I see. But before I go with the today's topic, which is GAN, as we call it, right? Generative Adversarial Network. Can you tell me what you have learned about Gen AI or AI, right? In summary, because I can probably talk at various levels, right? And I want to keep this session where you would remember this more than anything else, because I want you to remember some of these terms. But if someone would like to summarize what topics you have learned and have you heard about when Gen AI was evolved and some of these factors would be really helpful. Making it interactive, because if we make it interactive, I think in general, we will be able to match the frequency as we go forward in this session. So any thoughts, sir?
Yes, sir. Basically, we have to already learn about the basic ANN and what are the types of ANN, Gen AI, basic type of Gen AIs. We have to learn all these things. Hello, I am audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Mr.
I hope
Anand?
I am audible. Yeah, you are audible. I hope I am audible, right? So I'm saying that
you are audible.
this all is already covered.
These things already completed. So basics of the Gen AI and the basics of the neural network already covered. So you have to cover more areas of Gen AI.
Today is GAN, right? So GAN, the topic which is given to me, right? General Adversarial
Okay.
Network.
Yeah.
Before I go into GAN topic, right? Any particular use case you guys feel where generative AI would be helpful for you as professors? Probably anything which you can let me know. Anything which you want to call out saying that this probably is the best possible use of generative AI, right? Or this you see as a possible use of Gen AI. The reason I wanted to keep it again interactive is just to make sure that we understand where we are heading and what we are talking, right? So if you can talk about some of these use cases, I think we will remember it more than anything else, is what I want to say.
Yeah, participants, please join with Anand.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
If you have any...
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Actually, we can take a use case like today's word in cyber security, like voiceover of somebody is being generated and some are being done. So what is the a role of AI in this, and how can these things be uh, positive, negative, both direction these are going on. And take that use case.
Got it, sir. Very good use case, and I like it, the way you are thinking. Any other thought process? Anything else around AI, Gen AI? Any other? And to be
The
very sure, yeah,
basic bioinformatics problems like the computational biology issues we have to solve with the neural networks and the Gen AI.
okay, biocomputational. Okay, good enough. Yeah.
Mm. Computational biology
Anything,
issues.
anything related to education field? I think you guys are pioneers in education field. Anything on education side of it that you feel can be implemented or is already implemented? Some of it, right? So maybe we will talk about it, right? Let me know if the screen is visible.
For
Is it
creating
yeah,
for creating data sets.
for creating
Your
data?
screen is visible, sir.
Data sets. Data
Okay, data
sets.
sets. Okay, okay.
Simulation of the
Citrus.
experiments, which can be kits for learning the easy way, understanding the easy way.
Okay, okay. So creating data set and making it easier. Got it? Okay.
Anay,
Any
if we
further?
can, Anay, am I
Yeah,
audible?
you are
Hey,
audible. Yeah, yeah.
Rashma on this side. Can we cover something related to content creation as we are in the education field?
Absolutely.
So, how we can identify the main topics the students are dealing and they have generated through GNI, or if we need something improvements in the form of videos of our lectures. So, how can we generate those things for the content development?
Absolutely. And Gun, what generative adversarial network is key when it comes to content creation, which is videos and text
Yeah,
and so on, right? So,
yeah.
100% agreed with you. What we all love that. But if there is a method to summarize the lectures, right? So basically you are recording the lecture and creating a summary out of it, which can be then fed into a system which students can download, gives a lot of value because then the continuity would happen. Otherwise, probably if you miss a lecture and if you join the next class, I think you would still have to probably cover up on something which you have not done, right? So as you rightly said, creating content is important, but if the content is too lengthy, a 1 hour video or a 50-pager document, no one would read to it. But Gen AI can basically help in summarizing, making sure that you get the right amount of knowledge within that class which has happened. Thank you, Dr. Ashwin, for bringing that. Okay, so maybe we would do this session, probably talk about some of the key terms which comes as part of it. But then as you would have experienced, I would like to keep it interactive because that way I feel that I'm not talking to myself because typically on an online session, we don't know what is there on the other side. So we would start with a summary of AI and Gen AI and how it started and where we are. Do you see my screen in full screen mode or in presenter mode? So I hope you see the entire screen, just to be sure.
Yes, sir. Screen is visible.
Okay,
Kindly continue.
sure. So I think I would skip through some of these videos, but why Gen AI now versus probably Gen AI and artificial intelligence is there from 1954, if I'm honest, right? So is there a reason for this topic and probably behind Gen AI as of now, as of today? Because this technology is there, right, from a long time. I mean, if you look at artificial intelligence history, you would see Turing test, and it was invented back in 55. So, any thoughts around it? If I hear something, would be really good or bad or wrong or right is perfectly fine. But any thoughts on why so much focus? Voice is cracking for me. I don't know. Is it better for everyone else? I see a chat where it says voice is cracking. Guys, can you please confirm if it is okay?
Yes, sir, it is okay.
Okay.
Please continue.
Yeah. So there is a reason why Gen AI has picked up so much now. Any thought process? Anything? Why now? Okay.
Yeah, because of the
So
hardware developments and deep learning thing.
very good. Sir, you mentioned a very key term, hardware development. Very valid point. I would come to that. So thank you so much for that. If I have to define generative AI or AI into three pillars, right? There are basically three ages to it. One was the pre-COVID age, where, or I would say pre-chat GPT age, let me put it this way, right? So pre-chat GPT age, we had artificial intelligence for a lot of use cases, blockchain, robotics, AR, VR, headsets, and we were using that, autonomous cars. So artificial intelligence.
Your voice is not audible.
Is it audible,
And
ma'am?
uh,
Hello?
now it is audible.
Okay, I don't know. If it is not audible, please chime in, right? Because I am talking, right? So if it is not, just let me know. I hope it is okay now, or you're able to hear me. Just confirm, please.
Yeah, audible now.
Okay. So I said that in ChatGPT, a lot of innovation is happening around text translation, right? Text to speech, speech to text. Uh, Content creation, because this is what ChatGPT is known for, right? We would have used ChatGPT or Meta in WhatsApp or a lot of other features. But then there is a lot of potential around using these generative AI concept to something which is more useful to us in daily lives. And that is where generative AI for business will follow. And that's the third age, right? So I said three types. One was happening before pre-chat GPT, then the chat GPT era, which is going on, and then probably post-chat GPT, we have to look at how we can simplify some of the work which we are doing in various avenues with this, right? So I'll skip through some of these slides, but this is what I call as digital ecosystem, where you have protection, data management, monetization, and so on. And what is happening is in this digital ecosystem, uh, everything matters on data, right? The amount of data which is generated and the amount of data which is available. So when we talk about the data and the data which is available, we look at the amount of data which is available now, someone said on the chat as well, is far higher than it was available in 1950s. Right? But cost of compute or processing that of the data has gone down. Someone said hardware improvement. So raise of hand if you've heard floppy disk. Someone heard floppy disk? Someone know about floppy disk? I just want to see raise of hand, right? And then from floppy disk to CD drives to cassette player, right? Tapes and the cassette player, and then from there we are talking about a 2 terabyte hard disk which you can just attach to any system. So now we can process data faster. Can we process that data on floppy disk? The answer is no, because you can only store very small amount of data on a floppy disk. And you can't process such amount of data. And that's where generative AI or AI makes much more sense because the hardware improvement which has happened. So I'll skip this because that's the concept of generative AI, which you've already gone. Typically, I go through this as well. But when you look at generative AI, you look at three of them. One is learning patterns, right? So what are learning patterns? Learning patterns is basically how you would learn and you would try to probably be closer to what a human would think. Are we there? The answer is no, right? So I always say, or there are questions around, are we getting
Sir, again, your voice is not audible.
Is it better now, ma'am? Just wanted to be sure that I'm audible. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now audible.
Okay, okay. So when we talk about the learning pattern, we talk about how the systems are designed, right? So Gen AI systems are designed to understand the underlying patterns, structure, and the kind of data which they are trained on. So when a Gen AI model is trained on a large data set, it learns grammar, context, relationship between word, and so on, right? So learning pattern is a very, very important process because you basically have to learn and ensure that my data is larger, right? But then once I learn, I should be able to generate new data as well. So now there are models which are created which can generate new content based on the learning pattern which they had, right? So a text generation model, for example, can produce a lot of coherent sentences or articles. Uh, Again, a very practical example, if you are able to train the Gen AI model, you can create news article, blogs, newsletter in your education system in ABES, right? You can train the model to probably give more information to students based on the Gen AI model because now they can generate data. Obviously, you can look at the data and the format, but the initial data generation is done. And then last but not the least, everyone is looking at mirroring the human creativity. So can we do that easily? Is it easy to do? I have no answers to it because I think the Gen AI is very far away from the talent which a human would possess. But in general, what we are trying to do is having that creativity inbuilt so that the data or the article which is created looks much more real and it doesn't look like a AI created content in the end. That is what matters, right? So when we talk about GAN or GAN, when we talk about the topic which we have to understand a type of generative models which are available. Some of it would be covered by other industry leaders. I know, I mean, I'm not sure if the transformer side of it or the variational encoder, autoencoder side of it is covered, but we would be focusing truly on generative adversarial networks, which is called as GAN, right? So generative AI is a fascinating field that includes various model and techniques. And these three are the most common one, right? These models are designed to create the new data or content that closely resembles to human generated data. Each of one of this is a unique model of generating content. Different application, different processes will follow different model to create the content in the end, right? So our focus will be on GAN today, probably for next 25-30 minutes, learning about the generative adversarial network, right? And I would keep the last 20 minutes for question and answers if there are any. But we would like to make it generic in a way so that you understand it, first of all, and then possibly be able to relate it to some live example. Because if I am able to relate it to an example, I think I will remember it better than anything else, right? And maybe keep me honest if you agree with this statement, right? So raise of hand if real life example helps you learn thing better than just the theory part of it, right? Because I think you probably would follow similar techniques with your students as well in the end. Some of that can go really technical, right? And we don't want to bombard you because maybe 1 hour or 90 minutes is not enough to go into that deep dive. But we want you to understand the basics of GAN, which is GANs, Generative Adversarial Network, right? So let me start with the introduction side of it. And just to learn the definition, right? So there are the class of machine learning framework designed by a gentleman named Ian Goodfellow in 2014. Okay. And this is to generate new data sample that will mimic or be very close to an existing data set. Okay. A quick check. I'm audible. Please say yes or no, because sometimes it is important
Yes,
to
you're
check.
audible, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, when we come to the components of a gun, right? So there are two components. So if you don't remember anything, just remember what is gun. This basically it create new data sample, which will mimic. When I say mimic, it will try to create something which is similar to existing data set. There are two components, generator and discriminator. Generator, as the name says, it will create new data samples, keep on creating. Discriminator is the one which will evaluate the authenticity, whether this content created is real or fake, real or fake. Every time you create content using generator, there will be a discriminator. So keep it as generator as your students who will write into the exam, but discriminator as an evaluator, which is you professors, who will check the authenticity of that question and answer and mark them or rate them. And if you rate them as real, that is what the job of discriminator is. But if you see that it is just copying content or copying some copyright content or creating digital fake, discriminator should be able to tell this is a digital fake. Make sense? Is it clear till now? Yes, no? I don't know. Raise of
Yes,
hands for
sir.
yes. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So now when we go into the overview of the training process, right? So what is alternating between generator and discriminator? Real world example, again, read the concept of minimax game. So what is minimax game? Minimax is an algorithm which basically is a decision making algorithm. Have you ever played tic-tac-toe or chess? Tic-tac-toe, I feel, right? That cross and zero, typically two-player game. So this is where tic-tac-toe is exactly where this will be used, right? Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to minimize the loss, right? So every time as a computer, I'm thinking between two player, what would be my forward strategy and how I can minimize the loss. So when I put in a cross or a zero, the system would like to think that what would be the next authentic thing which would be coming in and how I can minimize the loss of the system, which is the computer side of it, right? So this is how and generator and discriminator will say. Generator will always try to fool discriminator. Discriminator will always try to catch that you are fooling me, and both of them fail, right? But in general, you will have to look at both of them working in parallel. And the idea is the content which is generated is real and not fake. So gun, make sure that your content is more real, more human than the fake content. And wherever we are trying to use
Hello?
yeah. So I
Sir,
just muted
voice
for
is not audible.
no, you can hear me now. I just muted
Yeah,
it
yeah.
because yeah. So
Okay, okay.
one of some of the key application of gun, and if you want to remember this, one is image creation, right? So basically creating art, creating deepfakes as well, right? On the other side of it. Image to image translation, right? So which means if you want to transform sketches to images, transform images to text, and enhancing your images, which is enhancing your image from a normal image to an SD image. This is the real-time application of gun, right? So it is one of the most important algorithm when it comes to content creation. Please be aware and make a note of it. And content creation is very, very key when it comes to education field. I can talk about some real life cases whenever time permits, but probably gun would come into all of it because this is image generation to image translation to text to image synthesis. All of this is key when you look at the education system in general. Now, there are some challenges as well, right? So the challenges is probably the generator produces limited variety of samples, the amount of data which is available for generator to generate the data, right? If it is not finely tuned, if the data is not there, that the samples itself would not be the way we want it, right? Difficulty in achieving balance between generator and discriminator, which means these are two systems fighting with each other for authenticity. Generator says I have generated a true data, and discriminator would say that it is not true, this is real or fake. So the balance has to be maintained between these two, right? And then the challenges in quantitative evaluation of the generated data, right? So sometimes the data is as good as real. We call it as deep fake, but generators is not able to identify. Consider a picture which you have taken, and I create a deep fake of that picture, and just say that this is my picture. This is my copyright because I have created it from your picture. Now you used to have IP and trademark and whatnot, right? This goes for a toss now because with IP and trademark, I'm just creating a digital fake of a picture, which is as close as the real picture. But ideally, the IP belongs to the owner who created the original picture. So these are some of the evaluation matrices where we will have to look at when it comes to the challenges side of it, right? But in general, I think there is improving stability in training procedures. So we see a lot of features coming in when it comes to training procedures. There's also applications coming in healthcare finance a lot, because if you look at the finance data, the ledgers, the files which has to be maintained, converting into a digital format, because as we said, the key is text to image and image to image, right? All of this is very key to finance as well as healthcare. Look at healthcare, X-ray, ultrasound films, and probably making something meaningful out of it with the amount of data which is available. And then you can combine these guns into other machine learning algorithms as well, right? So anything which is related to text, which is education, media, print media, it is playing a role, but we are also looking at enhancing it to healthcare, finance, and other industries. Because again, coming to that slide, right? We have to look at the image generation side of it. I'll talk about image generation in a while with an example. But we also have to look at enhancing the image resolution or making sure that we can do a text to image. So create a picture of a person standing in ABS college delivering a lecture with the name of Anay Pathak, and his hairs are curly and whatnot. If you give this annotation clearly, probably I'm trying to create a picture of myself delivering this lecture in your college. And all of this can be generated, right? So what I'm doing is text to image synthesis, which is possible with them. So I think in future directions, we look at this slide now, and this basically talks about a lot in detail, right? So first is that you have to understand this slide in detail and understand that what is this slide doing, right? And what are we talking about when you look at this slide? So as we said, right, GANs are innovative models that generate new data by creating competitive settings between two neural network, right? One is generator, the other is discriminator. The first network is generator, as we said. It is the primary role of generator to create new data. Some input.
Sir, voice is not audible. Sir, not audible, sir. Anay, sir? Hello?
I hope it is audible now, just to be sure. Please confirm.
Yes, yes. Audible now.
Did you hear what I said on generator, or should I repeat some of it? I would probably do it, right? So again, what I said was the first network is generator. The primary goal is to generate new data, such as images and text. Okay, this will continue. The second network is discriminator. The role is to find out whether the data is real, coming from an original domain, or fake generated by a generator. The generator produces samples initially with random noise, and the discriminator will evaluate them. both network will learn through the training process, right? So every time the generator will try to fool the discriminator, while discriminator improves the real from the fake, right? So all the time this will go on, this will continue to go on, and the idea is to get the real data sample and ensure that the data is real, and look at the output in the end. So just wanted to be sure when you learn gun, you learn these two concepts, and you always look at it as a professor-student thing, right? Where you might get an answer with some random noise from a student, which means the answer could not be correct, right? It is very close to correct. But as a discriminator, you will have to find it out and challenge, right? Whether it is real or fake. And if it is real, is it copied from somewhere? Do you see, again, a fun part of it, do you see your students now using ChatGPT and Copilot and Meta to answer some of the assignments? Raise of hand, yes or no?
Yes, you are truly speaking.
So I think if we see that, probably this is what a generator is doing, probably looking into the content and copying that content. But as a professor, you should be able to find that out, because there's some things which are not written, or there's some things which are not correct when you try to do that from a medium like a chat GPT and others, right? So that's where a discriminator thing would come in. So if I move on to the next slide, I think this basically talks about the process in detail, and we will look at a real sample of data, and then we will talk to the process, and just listen to this process, because this basically covers the concept of gun completely, right? So let's say if you have to create or if you want gun to learn the image, right, or learn to create image, the process will begin with real image samples. These are the samples which are actually actual images we want gun to learn from. Next, we will have a random seed. When I say random seed, some random data, think of it as starting point of creativity. It is a set of random number that generator will use to create something new, which we will call it fake images. So if I have that real images, and then probably a random seed which is coming in, not the real image, it's going to the generator, you get an image, right? So what is generator? Generator is like an aspiring artist. I mean, it will use that random seed to create an image from scratch, thinking this is the perfect one. I am just going very close to the real one. It is trying to make best of these fake images look as real as possible, because that's how generator would always try to work. Thinking that I will be able to fool the system, I will create the content which is exactly the same as real. Now, when it goes to discriminator, it is the critic, as we call it, right? The critic would look at the real sample, the real data, the real IP data, as I said, and it will look at fake images or the images which are created by the generator and decide which is which. Now, in the end, that in the training process, the generator would create, the discriminator would evaluate, and both will use their feedback to improve. The generator aims to create images so convincing that discriminator will think they are real, because meanwhile the discriminator is learning to become better in telling that real from fake. So both are doing their own job, right? Because generator is also learning to create as real as possible, but discriminator should always tell that this is real and this is fake. As the process iterates, both the generator and discriminator update their methods, and the generator gets better in creating realistic images, and the discriminator gets sharper at spotting the fake images. So back and forth will continue until the generator produces images that discriminator can no longer distinguish from real, and they will say that this is finally the real image. So application of GANs are diverse, right? As we said, image to image, such as transforming your summer photo into a winter scene. We can do a lot of it with Gen AI, right? I mean, creating photo, making us look better, beautiful, whatnot, right? So Gen AI is used widely into the image side of it. Or creating a photorealistic image of human that you can't spot fake. A lot of time now we read Diwali message and Happy New Year messages are coming, and Christmas messages and holy messages, where you have a human probably lighting a candle generated by AI. So you're now getting a photorealistic image of a human, which is generated by AI, because you are getting closer to that real thing, right? Which we all talk about. So I think a real life example, as I said, because this is what will always be in your mind as professors, is deepfakes. We see a lot of deepfakes, WhatsApp calls coming, where a person whom you're talking looks like your friend but is not your friend. So we create realistic fake videos by swiping faces in the video and allowing the creation of impersonation in films and social media. Do you agree with this? Have you seen any of these deepfakes in real life?
Yes, sir.
A lot of time a news is changed. A lot of times you will see a different face of a different person or different persona. This is basically done using gun. Image generation, gun uses modify image by blending different art. So you basically create a blend of art if you want to create using gun. Style transfer, right? So gun can convert one style to another. So like transforming a photograph into a style of Van Gogh. Van Gogh was a famous painter. And if I want to transform our art to Van Gogh style, I can do that. I can have modeling to generate images from textual descriptors, right? So then I can basically create visuals based on user-defined input. As I said, I am generating lecture in ABES college. Probably we talk about a lot of details on the college, and it generally generates a logo or a content behind the scene, which we can look at. So some real life example, if you look at, all of this is gun. Is it all real? The answer is no, because discriminator and generator are fighting. Generator is trying to generate as real as possible. Discriminator is saying no, you're not real. So please look into something else. Super resolution. We talk about images, HD quality, super HD quality, raw images. I mean, I have seen image going up to one gigabyte, 2 GB, or 3 GB, right? Those images are super resolution images. A lot of fashion images are being generated by guns, because that's where you can experiment with a lot of fashion content which is created, the dresses which are created, a lot of game development, because we talk about realistic textures and environment in video games. Video games is all about immersive experience. And if we can give that gun side of it into the game development side of it, right? I think we can probably look at the environment which is being generated in general, right? So so all in all, when we talk about it, the process will be able to make sure that the immersive environment is created with guns, right? And medical imaging, I briefly touched on it. Enhancing the medical image. Sometimes you see that the medical image is not clear, or probably you need to enhance your X-ray or ultrasound image. Also, looking at a lot of data points, because now images can be translated into real text, which means whatever we see in the image can be diagnosed using Gen AI, and then we have the data pool which can be used to find out some of the rare diseases and basically use in the human benefit, right? So these are some of the real-time examples of generative adversarial network, and this is where it is being used widely, right? So I would talk about some of this when it comes to content creation as well. I think someone asked about content creation in education field. What I've seen is a lot of time it is used for article generation or article creation. As a professor, if you want to write an article, probably a summary of what you've learned as today or whenever, right? You can use gun to basically create an article this is a human-like content which you are trying to create. But sometimes you also give that idea to, let's say, Chat GPT or Metas of the world to create something which you would like to create, and then verify it with the human approach, right? we also, as I said, right, summarize a video lecture, summarize a lecture which is created, creating a summary of what is being taught in the class today, and all of it is widely possible with Gun, right? So I think this plays a very, very, very important role when it comes to the learning process side of it. And we also wanted to make sure that we can use it for some of the good work which is happening, right? As I said, uh, image enhancing or medical imaging is one of the very, very good factor where it helps the human progress in general, right? Digital fake, the answer is no, right? Because for digital fake, probably it can be used for some of the things which we don't want in general, because now we are trying to change the real context if we talk about digital fake in general, right? So this was on Gun, but I would also probably cover some of the other applications where it is happening, right? From mobile, if you look at mobile, I think cellular communication to voice to digital world, all of this is part of Gen AI's involvement. It was AI before, but I think it is more of Gen AI which is being used. And when there is enhancement happening in 5G, I think all of this is connected, right? So even the healthcare, autonomous car, or public transport, everything is connected, right? There's one common question which comes to me from students probably is, will Gen AI or these concepts take my job? The answer is no. The kind of job which you do would change. So as of today, an autonomous car is generating 40 terabyte of data per day. In future, it will generate 250 plus terabyte of data per day. So an automaker who's probably manufacturing 40 million of car will generate 7 zettabytes of data. And to manage that, you would need 1 million people, right? Just that part of it. Do we have such jobs in the market today? The answer is no. So it is very, very important a lot of time when we learn these concepts, also to make sure that we all have to board this train, because the train has left the station. We also have to get aligned to some of these concepts, and I'm very, very excited to see a lot of people are now learning it from the education system to industry. But while we embrace this concept of learning Gen AI, we also have to see there's no threat. It is just that the nature of job, the nature of how we teach, the nature of content creation would change. So we will adopt some of these Gen AI techniques, but in general, it is creating new types of job profiles in the market, right? So if you look at healthcare, 8.41 petabyte of average amount of data is managed by healthcare provider, right? And it is very, very significant when it comes to healthcare. Everything you can measure when it comes to IoT and healthcare data. If you have, we have sensors for everything almost, right? And if you look at any medicines which we talk about, probably from a human sort point of view, right? Total raw data per patient is 2 to 5 terabyte. From the images to environment to DNA to normal tissue and so on, right? So a great use case when it comes to healthcare and the game changer side of it, right? As I said, finance is also, we are using a lot of Gen AI and girls concept, because when you talk about finance, the key side of the business is cost reduction, workforce productivity. All of this can be attained when we are able to create some of this data from the readily available legal documents to the compliance data which is available, and take it through this gun concept and create digital data which we have, right? So I think this is what I wanted to cover, not to confuse in too many things, but if you have to learn few things on this, I would say learn these real-time examples and make sure that you are able to apply gun in some of the cases which you would work on, right? So if you want to go into more details, I think there are applications which are using it. There are data sets or data points which are using it. But in general, I would also like to keep it to question and answers. If you have questions, if you want to ask some details on gun, if you have seen this being used in some of your examples, I think I'm open to all of it. or maybe Dr. Nitin or anyone else, right? If you want me to elaborate on any of the concept which I have said, because I think these concepts are fairly important for us to learn this, right? So let me know if you want me to reiterate on some of these concepts which I have said about gun. I hope I am audible.
Participants, you are audible, sir. Participants, please answer the question.
Any concept you want me to reiterate? Was it useful? Are you able to relate to this concept? Because if I go
Yes,
into
yes.
application and coding, it will be too much for you to absorb. I can go into that as well. But I want to keep it as real as possible and as relatable as possible so that you can apply it for any of your learnings going forward, right? If you want me to take any of this content again, any of this slide again, I am happy, right? And you just have to make sure that you remember gun, you remember two things, generator and discriminator and how they work. And I think the best example I gave is student and professor. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, man.
Sir, as you have already discussed, and we are finding the same point that as we are learning the new data values from the already stored values, so we are having the limited range. Okay,
Yes.
and we are not having the diverse type of example. Diversity in the examples is not possible with the limited range of training set. When we are going to generate more data, so we are not able to generate diverse examples. Again and again, we may have the same type of example. So how do we address this type of problems in GANs?
Got it. Got it. So data is key, ma'am, right? So when I talked about it, I talked about floppy to CD to the kind of digital data which is available. Everything depends on training in the end, right? So if we don't have the right amount of data, the chances of getting fake is really higher. So that is where data plays a very key role. And that is where there is a concept of data lakes and so on, right? Where we find about a lot of data content which is available, Googles of the world, Microsofts of the world, Oracles of the world, or any Dells of the world, right? Any company, right? We have that data which we have, and the kind of content which will be generated totally depends on how good that data input is or how good that data lake is. Because in the end, we are talking to the training data which is available to us. If you are doing it with a very, very small sample, the chances of generator and discriminator going on from a long time is very, very high because generator will use that very small sample to generate something and discriminator can always access the real data and say it is fake. So I totally agree. All of this is dependent on the kind of data which is provided for training and then taking inferences out of it. And when you do training and inferences, you give it to the real-time user and the feedback would come, right? So once the feedback comes in, you again have to train. So training, inferencing, and feedback will be a continuous cycle, if that answers your question. Is that okay, ma'am? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Because
Thank you for
sometimes, as I always say, right, when I'm not in a class or when I'm not in front of someone, I just want to make sure that you got my voice. So yeah. Any further questions?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Sure. Good evening, sir.
Sir, actually, the concept you explained about generator and discriminator is clear. But one thing I need in-depth explanation, that is, suppose, as you said, if I give one photo with summer effect with background, suppose if I want to transfer that photo style into winter season, so what is the kind of input I have to give to a discriminator and how it will understand and how it will generate the image with winter background?
Okay, so this is generator's job, right? So for generator, I would say that I would like to create an image with mountain in the background or a lot of snow and trees. And I would like to have a Christmas tree, and then probably I would also like to have a falling snow in the background. All of this is how you would input the data to generator. That is where we say random seed, right? So when you
Yes.
say random seed, a lot of these inputs are given by you. Now generator would try to generate an image, but then when it comes to discriminator would pick in some of the winter photos which are already there from the data, which is clean data. Now, between generator and discriminator, there will be fight that this can be corrected. This doesn't look good. How can you have a green grass on a winter snowy morning? You have the sky looks blue. The winter sky is more grayish because of snow. All of this will be corrected by discriminator until you reach to the image which you are trying to generate, right? So this is how generator and discriminator will keep on working to create your summer image, which is a blue sky, bright sun, to a winter image, which is more snowy and a lot of snow around with you with no trees and all white background. And you would see a lot of application now has come in.
Okay.
A lot of application has now come in where you would see that you can just put in your photo probably and it will transform you into a superhero, right? Like a Superman or a AI generated image as we call it, right? So all of this happens where it would try to capture the background of a superhero which you have selected, but also try to fit in your face in a digital format into that photo, which creates your AI photo. A lot of if you search Google on AI photo, you'll see a lot of frames where you can create an AI photo using those applications. I hope I was able to answer that question, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. I will check. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from anyone? Any further slides which you want me to create?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I have one question regarding GAN operation.
Anji.
As per as our discussion, you told that any kind of image or any noisy image is given and generated text that image and produces some output, and the discriminator will discriminate whether it is real or fake. Question is that there are various scenarios you told about how an image can be generated or discriminated. But my question is, if we want to implement any time series data or a one-dimensional signal as our input, and how the generator or the GAN network perform upon that, considering it it as non-image data, rather a time series data or a one-dimensional loss signal, any kind of signal which is
Because उसके लिए अभिजीत जी gun नहीं काम करेगा, right? So gun is when you look at applications for gun, it is image generation, image to image translation, text to image synthesis, and having higher resolution. लेकिन आपके केस में मे बी ट्रांसफॉर्मर्स और वीआई काम करेंगे बिकॉज एज आई सेड द टॉपिक इज गन टुडे राइट सो गन के लिए वी विल स्टिल हैव टू रिलाई ऑन ऑल ऑफ दीज पैरामीटर्स बिकॉज गन वर्क्स ऑन दिस probably the scenario you're talking, probably transformer or VIE would be part of it. I'm pretty sure this is also part of your curriculum, which I see, right? FDP. You would learn transformer, you would learn VIE, right? Don't confuse between all of three of them because सबका अपना अपना काम है. गन के केस में सबसे ज्यादा जो इसका यूज होता है चैट जीपीटी मेटा इन सब में होता है जहां पे आप बोलते हो क्रिएट अ इमेज ऑफ अ माउंटेन with a bird on top of it and the color of the bird should be this and वो एक image बना के देता है आपको मेटा चैट जीपीटी या ब्लिंग या whatever you tool you are using, right? This is where gun would be used. So gun always would depend on either image to text or text to image or image to image, and this is very realistic यार because अगर आप एक इमेज देते हो राइट एक इमेज सप्लाई करते हो and you would like to write an essay on that image, gun would do that, right? Because it will try to create that image into a text format, right? A lot of movies which are being created, right? अभी आप देखते हो पहले हम movie background में we have that green color का पर्दा and then we create anything, right? Because green base पे हम कुछ भी बना सकते हैं. But now with Gen AI based backgrounds, you create background in the movie sets, probably much more fascinating. But because you can do all of this, because generator से आप बहुत कुछ generate कर सकते हो, and discriminator will always keep it more real. And जितना अच्छा आपका input होगा ना, उतना ही अच्छा output होगा. So if your data input is not good, and if you're not very specific कि आपको क्या चाहिए, your output would also be very different. I hope it answers your questions.
Yes, sir, it's absolutely correct, but I do have a small doubt. Suppose I have a means image of 100 cross 100, and if I will break that image into a vector, that will become 10 to the power 4 cross 1 column vector or a row vector like that.
Mhm.
So if I have a data of 10 to the power 4 cross 1, so can it be converted to 100 cross 100 image and fed to a GAN to perform upon that and provide some discrimination on that?
So for GAN, these are two different things, right? It has to, as you rightly said, right, कि दोनों एक है mathematical terms में, right? But GAN works more on the look and feel of the things, right? अगर आप algorithm की बात करो, तो the answer is yes. But when we look at all of this data, in general तो क्या है, सब 1011 का ही खेल है, right? So in the end जो आपको data मिल रहा है, वो एक format में मिल रहा है, जो आप नॉइज जो है, ये रैंडम नॉइज जो है, इज बेसिकली चेंजिंग दी डेटा। आप अब ये चार इमेज देख रहे हो, इसमें एक जनरेटर ने इनपुट करके एक आउटपुट दिया है, बट आपको ये पता है कि रियल डेटा किस तरह का दिखता है मोनालिसा इमेज का, राइट? तो आपको चार इमेजेस दिख रही हैं। द आइडिया इज टू कीप इट एज क्लोज एज पॉसिबल। आपके केस में 100 क्रॉस 100 एंड 10 टू द पावर ऑफ 4 इज एग्जैक्टली द सेम। बट इन जनरल जब उसको आप टेक्स्ट को इमेज में ट्रांसलेट करते हो, both of them will have a little difference which we are trying to look at, right? So हम टेक्स्ट टू टेक्स्ट ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन यहाँ पे नहीं कर रहे हैं। बहुत बहुत सारे यूज केसेस में हम इसको यूज करेंगे जब हम कहीं ना कहीं पे इमेज टू टेक्स्ट कर रहे हैं, टेक्स्ट टू इमेज कर रहे हैं, वीडियो टू इमेज कर रहे हैं। दैट इज वेयर गन वुड बी यूज्ड, एंड दैट इज वेयर हम इसको बोलते हैं ना कि जनरेटर इज लाइक एन आर्टिस्ट। वो एक आर्ट क्रिएट करने की कोशिश करता है, which is always challenged by the discriminator, saying कि ये art fake है तुम्हारी. So this is how it works. So the case which you have said is more of a linear data which is coming in. I think वो हमारे other algorithm में cover किया जाएगा, cover किया गया होगा, I feel.
Okay, sir. Okay.
More questions? If we are good, then we can give the time back to you. But अगर आपके पास और सवाल हैं generative adversarial network को, please reach out. I have a lot of details around trends and how this is focusing as well, but I think there's a separate session on technology trend. If you want to reach out to me, my name is Anay Pathak. So आपने पहली slide में देखा होगा, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of data around what's happening in Gen AI in general. So you would always probably look at it, maybe ask questions. Available on LinkedIn with name Anay Pathak. And then there are a lot of videos which we have, right? And I purposefully didn't get a lot of videos because videos probably increases the time. I wanted to go into these concepts first of all, so that you understand the concept, and from there we can go into the real-time application and the process which is built around it, right? So again, this slide again talks about why it is now cost of compute going drastically down and cost of data processing is like upside down. But the amount of data, consider mainframe system, and this entire system which you see in the picture can store 1 terabyte, right? So can I process 1 terabyte in those days? The answer is no. So all of this matters a lot, why we are here and why we are getting closer to here. But again, we will talk probably more about all the other part, which is transformation and VAE in some of the classes which are coming, is what I feel. And maybe Dr. Nitin keep me honest, because I think there is focused class happening around these topics as well. Any further questions? Anything from you? Dr. Nitin, I think I was speaking to you primarily, but anyone else, if you want to talk something, please, this is your time.
Any other questions, participants? Please ask.
Hello, sir. I just want to ask one question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the current limitations for gains? I mean, what are the real problems with right now with the gain structures and the networks?
Yeah, so I think some of the challenges which I discussed, right? I think these three is what I see, there are much more, right? But one is data web, the last one. Challenges in quantitative evaluation of generated data. So getting the right set of data for training itself is a challenge sometimes if you don't have that bigger data which is available with you, right? So probably Google has a lot of data and it works very well, but how about others, right? The second is generator and discriminator fighting between each other, saying this is fake and this is real. And in the end, we are not able to get to the real side of it, right? And then the first is probably the sampling, which we do, right? The sample data which is coming in. So I think these three are primary challenges when it comes to GAN, because GAN depends a lot on the data or the sample which is provided to it. So if that answers the question.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, any
Dear
other questions?
participants,
Participants, any other questions? Please ask. I think so, sir. There is no
Yeah, feel
question
free to
from the
ask and
participant
just
side.
make sure we remember generator, discriminator, or GAN. If I take any other class in future, I would probably ask a little bit around it. But I hope it was useful and I hope
Yeah, very
it was
informative, sir.
successful. Okay, yeah.
Okay, Miss Billy, please continue.
yeah, thank you so much, sir, for such an enlightening session. Your expertise has made this session incredibly engaging and insightful, leaving us with valuable knowledge and inspiration to explore further. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we would continue to look into some of these trends as we enhance our journey. I find the agenda itself is very, very good when I looked at it, the way you are trying to cover a lot of things. So I think let's continue to collaborate, look at some of the trends in general, and I'm thankful that you are spending this much of time. I hope it was value for time, because in the end you are giving me your time, right? So if it is not valuable, let me know. If it is valuable, probably we can continue the discussion as we move forward. So thank you so much for all for listening for this time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good day and a good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Good
Dear
evening.
all, after 2 or 3 minutes, we will start our next session.
Thank you, Anna sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Continue to collaborate, Nitinji.
Sure.
I wish one can come on a video. I click a picture of everyone, but this happens in physical world.
Yeah, definitely, नहीं, sir.
But virtual world में थोड़ा difficult है. But अच्छा लगा, I think बात करके, and some of the queries which came in were really nice.
Thank you so much, sir.
I think we take a 5 minutes little break for the next session. So participant, we have to join. I think 7:20 or 25 around.
Yeah, we just take a 10-minute break. After that, we can start the next session.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you, Anna sir.
Thank you, Anna sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, good day.